Hello guys, and welcome to part 3 of my tutorial on how to create your own forum website from scratch. These tutorials are aimed at total beginners. They're here to give you some sort of help and advice and show you how easy it is to create your own forum. So hopefully you've been following these tutorials from part 1. Now this is where we left it last time, or near enough left it. So as you can see, we had a couple of improvements to make to the board. This category here, which comes as the default, we're going to take that out this time. I have added some new posts on there, which the eagle-eyed of you will probably have noticed already. That's just to show you some little examples that we're going to be coming across. Now another thing, I have also added 3 members to the site. Now these members have been added by myself, so they're like fake members if you like, but I mean, if you can try and imagine that the members that we're going to be using for this tutorial would in the real world be real family members who had joined from wherever. If you notice down here in the legend, we've got administrators and global moderators listed, but we've got nothing else listed. We're going to put in there, I'm going to show you how we put in registered users, and of course once you've put that in you can list any other particular rank that you create on your own forum. Again, it's just aimed at basic beginners. So let's crack on. I want to try and cover as much as I can in this tutorial, and hopefully I can fit everything I need to fit in this tutorial without creating another one. So let's first go to the ACP, which, as you should be aware by now, is at the bottom. We click on the ACP and we're in here, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the forums. Now the first category, as I said, is the one that comes by default. So what we're going to try and do here now is get rid of that. As you can see, we can move the subforums, or we can delete the subforums and posts. That's exactly what we want to do, is delete the subforums and posts. So we'll submit that, and now that has totally gone. Okay, so back to the general tab, and let's have a look what we've got in here. What we're going to do now is, I mentioned last time, well, let's have a quick look at the board and we'll show you what it looks like now. Okay, as you can see, that category has gone. Staff rooms at the top now, then moderator chat, and then our 3, 4 forums under that, which come under 2 categories. So again, we'll go back to the administration control panel, and as I said at the last video, we're going to do a brief run through on users and groups in this one. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just move the system really a little bit. Usually I start at the top and work down, but on this particular video I'm going to start with the groups first. So we'll go to manage groups first of all, and you will see that we have our predefined groups here. These are the default groups that come with the board software. So we can click on the settings in here. We'll look up newly registered users. We can look up registered users, and remember, the newly registered users are separate from the registered users. This was mentioned back in video 1, I believe. So what we're going to do now is click on the settings for this group, and this brings us to manage groups board. Okay, so what we're going to do is scroll down just a small bit until you see this heading here, display group in legend. That's the one we're going to tick in there, and then I'm not going to change anything else on this at all. Remember, the group that we're dealing with here is the registered users group. You can see which group it is because it's there, the group name, registered users. I'm going to scroll right down to the bottom and hit the submit button. Now what should happen, if we go to board index, we should see that in the legend, which I showed you at the beginning of this video, we now have registered users listed alongside global moderators and administrators. Okay, so let's go back to the ACP, back to the users and groups panel, and that's how we put the legend on. We can do that with any group, of course, not just that, and any group that we actually create either. Okay, so let's briefly run down, as we're in the groups tab, groups section. let's look at groups permissions. So again, we're going to look up, we can look up any group we want in here. We can look up, well, we're registered users, so we'll carry on with registered users. And you can see that registered users have standard features. Their group is set for standard features. Again, we can alter that if we wish, but I'm just going to leave that as standard features anyway. And then we can have a look at groups forum permissions. And again, we'll take the registered users group as an example. Hit submit, and on here you will get a listing of all the forums on your site. So what I'm going to do here, instead of clicking one by one and holding the control down, I'll just click all forums, and we'll be able to see what settings we've got set for each forum. So there's no role assigned in staff room, admin chat, moderator chat. We know they're blocked in there anyway from the previous video when we set those permissions up. We've got family events, births, marriages, deaths, social area and family chat all set as standard access. If you change anything in here, guys, anything at all, hit this button at the bottom. Okay, so that really covers the groups section of it. So now I'm not going to touch user security in these videos. Again, we're trying to get you up and running. I'm assuming that you have no experience whatsoever with creating a website, forum or anything like that. So we just want to get you up and running. If at any time you need to ask any questions, remember there's always a support room there where there are some highly experienced people who are only too willing to help you with any question. There's no such thing as a daft question, okay? So don't be frightened to ask what may be silly to you. It doesn't matter, you will get an answer, okay? So first of all, we're going to click on, in fact this one's a little bit text, we'll leave manage users just for now. I'll come back to that one in a moment and you'll see why, because there's quite a few options under that one. Inactive users, if we click that, then anyone who hasn't, if you've got your board set by activation by email for instance and they haven't clicked the link, then their username and information will be listed here. And what that would mean is that they haven't clicked the activation link. There's been a problem somewhere. You can, if you wish, activate them down here and submit. Again, if you've got it set by admin to be activated, this is where you will find the users in here and you can activate them. Add user, self-explanatory. It's what I've used to create some users onto the site. User permissions. What we do here is find a member. It's very simple and straightforward. I'll just move this down into the window for you a little bit. What we do here is just look for a member, so we'll tick the first member we've got in there, Tom. Click on submit, and we can go on to advanced permissions. We can do this for any member, remember, and we've got everything set on no here. Profiles all set on no. Everything's set on no. So you would think that looking at that Tom can't do anything, but that's not the case, because remember this is his user permissions. His group's permissions will allow him to do the things that we've set under the group. Now if I go back to post on here, and this applies to anything on these tabs, if we set something to say, if I set Tom, and this is only effective for Tom, not for the group, if I set his signature to never, okay, and then instead of applying permissions we have always apply all permissions at the bottom. Ignore this button, very rarely used, okay, we always use this. Now if I were to set that, then that would stop Tom using a signature, and only Tom. Anyone else in the same group as Tom would be able to use a signature, but the never would override the no, or the yes rather. So I'll leave that as it is. Remember that permissions can be a little bit daunting, they can be a little bit confusing. You can always get help from your support group, okay? Users forum permissions is basically the same. We just find a member exactly the same and we go through and we see what forums. Let me just move that down again for you into the viewing window. And what this does is just allows us to see what permissions he's got in any forum. We can list all forums here list them all up and see that he's got no role assigned in there. We can assign any role we want in there if we wish to do that for him separately. Custom profile fields I'm not going to touch. Manage ranks, again, I'm not going to touch in this video. It's customization. You can upload your own. I'll briefly show you it, but you can add a new rank in here. At the moment, the only rank I've got in here is site admin. In fact, let's create a new rank, shall we? Rank title, I don't know, global mod. Okay, and then we can just submit that, and we go back to the previous page, and now we've got global moderator in there. We can set a minimum number of posts, whatever we want. That's entirely up to you. User email addresses simply gives you the email addresses of the users that are joined. Okay, so back to the first one, manage users. Okay, what we need to do here is find a member. Again, I'll pull this window down so you can see it a little bit better. We'll take Tom as an example, and we'll submit this. Now we get the information for Tom here. We get his username, registered date, registered from IP, which I've blurred out for obvious reasons as I've used my own IP. Last active, when he was last active, his posts, warnings. Is he a founder? No. Generally speaking, not a good idea to make anybody else a founder if you are a founder. His email address, confirm email address. Notice this box up here. We're coming back to this box up here. If you change anything in here, you can put a new password in there, whatever. If you change anything in here, you must hit this submit button. Okay. The next section will cover quick tools, what you can do with the account, ban by username, ban by email, etc., etc. If you select any of those options, you must click that submit button there. And finally, if you wish to delete the user, you would have an option if he had any posts to retain his posts or delete the posts, and again you must hit that submit button there. Okay, so back to this box that I mentioned earlier. This defaults to the overview. We click on the little arrow to expand the choices. Now we've got feedback here. I'm not going to touch feedback here. Profile basically will give us a profile of Tom, what information he's put in his account, his occupation, interest, anything he's put in there would show up in there. Again, we can edit anything. Again, golden rule, if you edit anything, submit at the bottom. Preferences, so this gives the board preferences that he's got set up. Okay, so we can see if he's got, for instance, his email set up, or what board style he's using, time zone he is, all that sort of stuff. Again, anything you alter in there, go down to submit at the bottom. Avatar, we haven't got any avatars on here. It's if he uploads an avatar, he can upload one from his machine, a URL or wherever, or you can upload a group avatar if you wish, or whatever, and you can submit in there. Rank, we haven't touched ranks really. He's got no special rank assigned, so standard. Signature will give us a list of his signature. Again, it's a 255 character limit on this, and we can edit his signature here if we wish and do what we want in there. But again, submit at the bottom if you alter anything. Okay, that's the golden rule on any of these. Groups, so we're looking at groups. He's a member of the registered users group, and it's default for him. You can see it's default because it's in bold. Okay, we can remove him from the group if we wish, and you don't need to hit submit on anything there. Okay, only hit submit if you're adding a user to a group. Okay, we'll show that in a second. Permissions just shows you what permissions he's got on any of these functions here. It's not something you'll look at a real lot. Attachments and warnings we're not really going to go to. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you, we're going to go back to the groups. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to make Tom a moderator, so that he can look after the site when I'm not there, when the administrator's not there. So in order to do that, again, we're in users and groups, and we've got the user administration for Tom. We've got him set for groups there, and what I want to do is I want to add him here to the global moderators group. Okay, then I'll hit submit. So now Tom is a member of two groups. He's a member of the registered users group and he's a member of the global moderators group. However, he's still default, because it's bold, for member. To make his default group the global moderator, all we do is simply click that wording there and you can see that changes to bold, and now Tom is a member of the global moderators group and he's a global moderator. So with that one, I think that really covers the users and groups. I'll just briefly touch on permissions. We've really covered most of this in other tabs earlier on in the other lessons. We've got users permissions, groups permissions, which we've covered in the previous ones. The ones we haven't touched is administrators permissions, where we can alter the administrators permissions if we want. Global moderators, where we can add another group and give them global moderators permissions, or add a member and give them global moderators permissions. Forum based permissions, very simply we can select a forum and we can see what permissions are set for that forum. Forum moderators, now we can set a forum moderator for there if we want. We could click on, say, family chat, or we can click on more than one, again by holding down the control key, and we can select either find a member to put an individual member in as a forum moderator, or we can have a group as forum moderators. Okay. User forum permissions, which again we've covered in the past. Any particular user, what forum permissions he's got, we don't really need to go over that. And group forum permissions is exactly the same, except it works on a group basis rather than an individual user basis. Admin permission roles, here excuse me, is a list of the various types of admin we can have, or we can create our own if we wish down here. Again, we're getting into more advanced stuff here, guys, so I'm not really covering this. If you think that I'm not covering it right, it's a little bit more advanced than you need to know for setting up the boards. User roles, which as you've seen before, standard features, limited features, etc. Moderator roles, as you can see, we've got 4 types of moderator there that you can set for different levels of moderating. For instance, the standard moderator can use most moderating tools, but cannot ban users or change the post author, whereas a full moderator can use all moderating features, including banning. So that really covers that. Okay, I don't really want to go on for much more than a couple of more minutes, but that covers as basics in the back room for setting up your board. So we'll go back to the board index now, and that is what we see as administrator. We see every board as the administrator. We've created that board, that's how we see it. Now if I were to log out here, okay, then I would be viewing this board as a guest, i.e. somebody that's not logged in. That's what I would see. Okay, I wouldn't see the admin chat, the moderator chat. That is invisible to me because I am just a guest. I am not an administrator or a moderator. Okay, now if I log in as Tom, now you will see a difference here. What I see, and I've made a mistake on purpose to show you something that is a common problem. Okay, we'll log in Tom, get rid of the old pop-up that appears. Now Tom, remember, is now a moderator, so Tom can go in there. Okay, but he shouldn't be allowed in there. Now as you can see, he can go there. Okay, so what we've got to do is we've got to restrict his access in the admin chat. Okay, so we're going to do that in a second, but in the meantime I just want to show you another member. So let's say we'll log out Dick. We'll log Dick in and see what Dick can see, shall we? Okay, so we'll log Dick in. Dick, and we'll put in the password, get rid of the obligatory pop-up, And as you can see, Dick is a standard member. He's not moderator, so he can't see the moderator room at all. So this is what your normal members would see. This is what your guests would see. Your moderator would see one room, not two. So in order to do that, what we're going to do now is quickly go back there, and we're going to just alter that setting, which I'll show you how to do. Let's just log in again. Now remember that setting up a board can take you quite a while. Okay, it's not difficult, but it is time consuming. Okay, the more forums, the more boards you have, the more time consuming it is. So now what I'm going to need to do is go down to the administration control panel and log back into there. Okay, and again the obligatory pop-up. So what we're going to do is go to the users and groups tab, and we're going to go for groups forum permissions. Okay, and the group we want to alter is global moderators. We'll submit that, and it's admin chat room that we don't want the global moderators to see, so we'll click on admin chat, hit the submit, and as you can see, we've got standard access in there. So I'm simply going to drop that down and go to no access, apply all permissions, and that's it, we're done. Okay, so we'll go down to board index, we'll log out one more time, and then we'll log back in as Tom, okay, who is our global moderator. Tom, and I will enter the password, log back in. Sorry this is going on a little bit longer than I thought, guys, but I'm going to cover it all in this tutorial. Now as you can see, Tom's logged in. We're logged in as Tom. There, you can see that. And he can see moderator chat, but he cannot see admin chat. So you see how simple that is to restrict any forum you wish, simply by the users forum permissions or the group's forum permissions if it's a group. Okay, so with that, I think that really now, guys, if you followed these 3 tutorials, you should be up and running. You should be able to get your site up and running. You will probably need further help, especially if you're a total newcomer to creating your own forum websites. But don't forget, guys, that every host has a support forum where you can go and get expert help excuse me, and get really helped out there. Hopefully you've enjoyed this lesson, hopefully you've learned something, and hopefully it's made you want to go out there and create your own sites on whatever theme you want to create. Okay, I've just done a sample family forum here that could create anything. We could, you know, we click in here, we've got posts in here. We can go back to the board, well, we can go back to family events, births. As you can see, we've got 2 topics in there. We can click any of the topics. So I would suggest that you take a look at prophpbb.com and use their service. It's really good, very good uptime, and the support there is second to none. I'm going to leave you with the front page here. If you get around to it, I would love you to click on the link in the description that will take you to my own site, learnforfree.org.uk. The link will also be in for prophpbb.com. And I hope to see you around soon, guys. Let's hope this has all helped you out. Thanks very much for watching. Come down and see us on our site. We've got thousands of tutorials, and we've got lots and lots of help, fun, games, you name it, we've got it. Recipes, anything and everything you want. Okay, so once again, thanks guys, and hopefully I'll see you in a future video. Thank you.